Raider Nation, there's a dark cloud forming over Las Vegas, and its name is Christian Wilkins. The news surrounding the star defensive tackle has been anything but reassuring, and for a player who's supposed to be one of the most dominant forces in the trenches for this defense, this lingering Liz Frank injury is starting to ring some serious alarm bells. Let's not sugarcoat it. Foot injuries, especially Liz Frank ones, are no joke. They stick around. They linger. And for a big man who's expected to anchor the Raiders' defensive front and take pressure off Max Crosby, this could be a big-time issue. Now, the good news, or maybe just less bad news, is that Wilkins has been showing up to OTAs. No boot. No visible signs that he's being held back. But don't let that fool you. Just because he's not limping around in a walking boot doesn't mean everything is peachy. Reports from camp suggest that while he's present and working, he's still not ready to go full throttle. And when Pete Carroll steps in and says this has been a tough recovery, that's not the kind of coach speak you want to hear. That's a red flag being waved loud and clear. Carroll didn't mince words either. He acknowledged that Wilkins has been grinding every day, showing up early, putting in the work, doing everything asked of him, but despite that, he's not there yet. He's not ready. And when a coach starts talking about how there's a lot of time left, it means they're not expecting him to be 100% anytime soon. The team might be taking every precaution, and maybe they're just being careful, but the tone makes it feel like this is something they're preparing to manage, not resolve overnight. And here's the deal, Raider Nation. This defense, it needs Wilkins. Not just as a rotational guy, not just as a depth piece, but as a pillar. This defensive scheme relies heavily on getting pressure with four, and outside of Max Crosby, Wilkins is arguably the second most important name in that equation. He's the guy who's supposed to draw double teams, clog running lanes, collapse the pocket, and create chaos on the inside. Without that, the pressure shifts dramatically to the edge rushers, and that's where things can unravel quickly. The Raiders' secondary has reportedly looked good early in off-season workouts, but if those defensive backs are being left to cover longer than they should because the pass rush isn't getting home, it's only a matter of time before cracks start to show. So what now? What happens if Wilkins isn't ready by the time the season kicks off? The coaching staff better be asking themselves that same question, because as of right now, this team needs contingency plans, and fast. That means finding out who on this roster can step up and, if needed, fill that void. The answer isn't simple, and it's definitely not guaranteed to come from just one player. It's going to take a collective effort. Let's talk about some of those names. First up, you've got J.J. Pegues, the sixth-round rookie with size and strength, who could maybe be molded into something close to Wilkins' profile. Pegues is big, standing at 6'2" and tipping the scales at over 300 pounds. He's got the bulk, but does he have the skill set, the explosiveness, the mental edge? That's going to be the challenge. And it's not just him. Right behind him is another rookie, fourth-rounder Tyreek Tonka Hemingway. More of a hybrid edge rusher type. Hemingway is a better athlete, but not necessarily the true interior anchor you'd hope for. Still, with the right coaching, maybe he's someone who could be moved around as needed. Then there's Johnny Lowell, a name that might not stand out to everyone, but someone the Raiders really seem to believe in. He flashed last season, showing signs that he could handle some interior responsibilities, and even though he might be a little light for the position, you've got to consider what he brings in terms of motor and grit. If I'm on the Raiders coaching staff, I'm telling Lowell it's time to bulk up, man. Add some weight. Become that guy who can eat up blocks and keep Crosby clean. But of all the names we're talking about, the one that probably carries the most responsibility right now is Adam Butler. The Raiders didn't give him that 3-year, $16 million contract just to be a backup. If Wilkins misses time, Butler becomes the number one guy on the interior, and frankly, that's not ideal. Not because Butler isn't good, he's solid, reliable, and experienced, but because he's best when he's not the focal point. Last season, Butler thrived because offenses were worried about everyone else. He took advantage of being overlooked. Now, he might be the one drawing the double teams. Can he still be that impactful under a different kind of pressure? And here's where things get tricky. This Raiders defensive line is loaded with tweeners, guys who aren't true edge rushers, but also aren't prototypical nose tackles. That's a double-edged sword. On one hand, It gives the coaching staff versatility, the ability to mix and match depending on the situation. On the other hand, it means there's no one clear answer to fill Wilkins' shoes. Tyree Wilson is a perfect example. Drafted as an edge, but versatile enough to slide inside. He's got the raw physical tools, no question, but the consistency, the reliability, that's still a work in progress. And right now, the Raiders need more than potential. They need production. If things go sideways and Wilkins' recovery takes longer than expected, don't be surprised if the Raiders start poking around free agency. Now let's be clear, the options are limited. This isn't a market overflowing with pro, bowl-caliber defensive tackles. But there are some names that could make sense, starting with Jadeveon and Clowney. Yes, Clowney is an edge guy, not a true defensive tackle, but go back to the idea of versatility. He can rush the passer, he's solid against the run, and he brings that veteran edge. Plus, he's played under Pete Carroll before, so the familiarity is there. Would he be a Wilkins replacement? Not exactly, but he could help carry some of that load. Another name that makes sense? Quentin Jefferson. He's got history with the Raiders. He's got history with Carroll. He's got respect in that locker room, especially for Max Crosby. You bring a guy like that, not necessarily to be a star, but to add depth, bring professionalism, and push the younger guys. He's 32. He's played meaningful snaps, and even if he doesn't crack the final roster, he elevates the level of competition. That's worth something. And look, if things get really desperate, like break glass in case of emergency desperate, maybe you even explore a trade. John Jenkins, who was just picked up by Baltimore after the draft, could be an option. He's familiar with the Raiders system, has a relationship with Patrick Graham, and proved last year that he can still be effective. Would he cost much? Probably not. Maybe a 7th-round pick. But he'd provide size, experience, and immediate impact, even if just as a rotational piece. All this, though, is hypothetical. It's insurance talk. What the Raiders need more than anything is for Christian Wilkins to get healthy. They need that anchor, that disruptor, the guy who forces offensive coordinators to game plan around him. Because without him, this defensive front goes from dangerous to uncertain. The potential is there, the pieces are in place, but Wilkins is the keystone. And if that piece isn't in place come week 1, Raider Nation, buckle up. It could be a long ride. So if Wilkins does end up missing time, or even if he's just not at full capacity for the early part of the season, the Raiders' margin for error shrinks dramatically. And that means every single guy on that depth chart has to bring more than expected. The spotlight will immediately shift to those younger players, especially guys like J.J. Pegues and Tonka Hemingway. For Pegues, it's about adjusting to the speed and physicality of the NFL. He's not just a space filler anymore. He has to use his size intelligently, clog gaps, disrupt blocking schemes, and give the coaches a reason to trust him in high-leverage snaps. Hemingway might have the edge athletically, but his frame and style of play lean more toward the edge rusher mold. He needs to prove he can hang in the trenches against seasoned NFL linemen and still create disruption. Then there's the wild card in all of this, Tyree Wilson. Taken with high expectations, Wilson was never meant to be a backup plan for Wilkins, but now he might find himself thrust into a hybrid role. He's the kind of athlete who, if he can channel that power and refine his technique, could be devastating from multiple alignments. But we haven't seen that level of dominance yet. The flashes are there. The potential is mouth-watering. But this isn't about potential anymore. If Wilkins is sidelined, Wilson doesn't have the luxury of time. He's got to be ready to deliver. That's where coaching becomes crucial. Patrick Graham and the rest of the defensive staff will have to get creative, mixing alignments, rotating players, and keeping the pressure on offenses even without their biggest interior weapon. Expect more stunts, more deception, and a lot of gambling on versatility. Guys like Adam Butler and even Malcolm Kuntz could be asked to do more than ever before, not just within their own roles, but in helping elevate the guys next to them. And this is exactly why having veterans around matters so much. Adam Butler, in particular, needs to step into a leadership role both on the field and in the locker room. He knows the scheme. He knows the grind. But now he's the guy others will look to for guidance, especially those young linemen trying to figure things out on the fly. He might not be the same caliber of player as Wilkins, but leadership, communication, and consistency can go a long way in holding the line while Wilkins recovers. Meanwhile, in the front office, there's a different kind of pressure. Do they believe enough in this group to stand pat? Or does Wilkins' uncertain status push them toward a last-minute signing or even a minor trade? The money is there. The need might be as well. But it's a balancing act, one that depends heavily on just how serious this injury really is. And unfortunately, no one's offering straight answers. If you listen to what Pete Carroll said, it's not panic mode, but it's not casual optimism either. It's cautious, controlled, but undeniably worried. That tone resonates. Because let's face it, Raider Nation's been here before. Big-name acquisitions that don't pan out due to injuries. Hype that dissolves into maybe next year. That's why this Wilkins situation has people pacing nervously. And it's more than just about one player. This season is supposed to be a step forward for the Raiders. The defense, for the first time in a long time, is being seen as a potential strength instead of a liability. That hinges on Wilkins being the guy they paid him to be. If he's not, then suddenly the narrative changes. Suddenly, you're hoping for breakout years from players who may not be ready. You're counting on schemes and rotations to do the work of raw talent. That's a dangerous game. But here's the silver lining. If this team does pull it together, if the depth shows up, if the coaching clicks, and Wilkins returns healthy in time for the grind of the regular season, then maybe this early adversity becomes a blessing in disguise. Maybe the team grows stronger because of it. Maybe these young guys grow faster. Maybe the coaching staff unlocks hidden flexibility in this defensive front that ends up paying off big when it matters most. Until then, it's a waiting game. And for a team with high hopes and a brutal schedule ahead, waiting is the last thing they can afford to do. Every rep at practice, every OTA snap, every defensive install, it all matters more now. Because the guy who was supposed to be the foundation might not be ready to hold up the house. And it's going to take every bit of grit, grind, and guts this roster has to keep things from collapsing before the season even begins. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around the NFL as one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in the league, Patrick Mahomes, has reportedly become the centerpiece of an audacious bid by the Las Vegas Raiders. Sources close to the situation hint at a blockbuster offer on the table, one that could reshape the landscape of the league and ignite a frenzy among fans and analysts alike. The Raiders, known for their bold moves and hunger to return to glory, are allegedly crafting a multi-million-dollar proposal aimed squarely at luring Mahomes away from the Kansas City Chiefs. Insiders suggest this isn't just about money, though the financial package is said to be eye-popping, but also a strategic vision that promises to build a championship-caliber team around the superstar quarterback. This rumored plan reportedly includes significant investments in both player acquisitions and state-of-the-art facilities, positioning the Raiders as a serious threat in the AFC. What's fueling this buzz is the timing and the scale of the reported proposal. The Raiders' front office, known for its aggressive approach in free agency and drafts, appears to be ready to pull out all the stops. If true, this would mark one of the boldest franchise moves in recent history, potentially ending the Mahomes era in Kansas City and igniting a new chapter in Las Vegas. The move could also trigger a domino effect across the league, forcing rival teams to rethink their own strategies and rosters. Fans are already buzzing on social media, with debates heating up about the implications of such a blockbuster deal. Would Mahomes' dynamic style and leadership transform the Raiders into instant contenders? Could this be the spark that propels Las Vegas to its first Super Bowl appearance? Or is this just another tantalizing rumor destined to fade as quickly as it emerged? The Chiefs' camp remains tight-lipped, but the potential fallout is undeniable. While nothing has been confirmed, the mere possibility of Mahomes in silver and black is enough to set the NFL world on fire. The Raiders, long searching for a franchise quarterback to anchor their rebuild, could be on the verge of pulling off a coup that sends shockwaves through the sport. As the offseason unfolds, all eyes will be on Las Vegas and Kansas City, waiting to see if this audacious rumor will materialize into one of the greatest quarterback moves in NFL history. The stage is set, and the drama is just beginning. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.